Enter the Stars. And I've got an update for you guys on Game of Thrones. Got into this series and basically been watching it straight through. I think I'm on season 6 at this point. I've got some screenshots pulled up for you guys. Also, found some pretty revealing stuff on Jared Kushner, his family lineage, the 666 Fifth Avenue address that he owns, his real estate firm. And we're going to dig in a little deep about the son-in-law of Donald Trump. So those are the two things we're going to cover tonight. Glad you guys could join. Let's let you guys filter in. And maybe we'll cover the Jared Kushner stuff first. Let's see. Let's pull these slides up here. Glad you guys could all join in tonight. Well, let's see here. Game of Thrones. Now, Jared Kushner, as you guys know, is the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And I found some information regarding the 666 Fifth Avenue address. These are some Game of Thrones stuff we're going to cover a little bit later. This is the scene. This is Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's sitting across from Matthew McConaughey in this 2013 film. They're having lunch at the top of 666 Fifth Avenue, owned by Jared Kushner. Now, let's look at the timeline for this and see when he actually purchased these properties. Let's see. Let's pull up 666 Fifth Avenue. Now, you're probably wondering why this is important. Now, we've heard Donald Trump go on and on and on about how much support he has for Israel. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to demonstrate that to you. There's a reason why he is supporting Israel. And it all has to do with Jared Kushner and his family lineage. We covered a little bit of this on Underground World News last Friday night. But I wanted to kind of do our own live show on this to show you guys what's going on. These people are all in bed together. They marry within families. And this just never stops. We're not in this club until we'll never understand how alliances are formed, how bloodlines are kept, how strategic marriages happen to better or further these family goals and plots and subplots. Now, this is 666 Fifth Avenue. W's covered this, and he's talked about, the obvious in your face, 666, right? Mark of the beast. But that this is owned by Kushner Realty. Let's go. Let's look in here. Let's do a search on this. Kushner. Here it is, Kushner Properties. Let's see when he acquired this. 2007. So when the film Wolf of Wall Street came out, Kushner had already owned the property. Now this is creepy because this is Jared Kushner. Now look at this. Look at the side by side on this. Did I pull that out? Oh, yeah, there it is. This is just weird, right? I mean, yeah, they got different color eyes and everything, but there's somewhat of a resemblance. But we're going to get into what all this means. Now, in this scene, basically, Leonardo DiCaprio is being taken to task. He's being showed the ropes as a stockbroker. Now, I did a video on Trump the Wolf, and I'll pull that up in a minute. But isn't it weird how we have the Wolf of Wall Street, and then we had covered Trump being the wolf in a video before I'd even heard or learned about the 666 Fifth Avenue. Now, this is what Matthew McConaughey is telling him. He's showing him the ropes. He says, name of the game, move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket, right? But if you make your client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct? That's what Leonardo DiCaprio says. And Matthew McConaughey says, no. Number one rule of Wall Street, nobody, I don't care if it's Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett, nobody knows if a stock's going to go up or down, sideways or in circles. Or least of all, stockbrokers, right? It's all fugazi. You know what a fugazi is. Fugazi, it's a fake. Fugazi. It's wazy. It's woozy. It's fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It never landed. It is no matter. It is not on the elemental chart. It's not real. Right? Right. Stay with me. We don't create as HIT. We don't build anything. No. So if you got a client who bought stock at 8 and now it's at 16, he's all happy. He wants to cash in, liquidate, take his money and run home. You don't let him do that, okay? Because that would make it real, right? No, what do? You get another brilliant idea, a special idea, another situation, another stock to reinvest his earnings, and then some. Now, why am I reading all this? Is Matthew McConaughey is describing to Leonardo DiCaprio at the top of 666 Fifth Avenue of how the stock game works. Why am I talking about this? Because the stock game works almost exactly as the real estate game. And so what you're really looking at here is Jared Kushner at the top of his own building that he owned a few years earlier. And they're describing the buying and selling of property instead of stocks. That's what I believe that they're depicting here. Now let's look into this a little bit more. Real estate firm. First, I want to pop back in the chat here. Why is this doing this? My screen's acting weird. All right. I see you guys in here in the chat. Right on. Welcome to the show. All right. So 666 Fifth Avenue, Kushner Properties. Let's take a look at Kushner Properties and see what this is all about. Privately held company 32 years ago, Charles Kushner. Now, this is interesting. Charles Kushner is obviously the son of Jared Kushner. This is where things get spooky and weird because his father actually got into a little bit of trouble. This is him here. Let's see here. Son of, where does it talk about his family history? Here we go. This is Charles Kushner. Apparently a convicted felon. Did some time. Real estate developer. In family business with his son-in-law of Trump. Convicted of illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, witness tampering, and served in federal prison. After his release, he resumed his real estate career. Now, what was he doing? He actually tried to bribe someone by hiring a hooker to blackmail somebody. It's typical Illuminati tactics. They get you a compromised situation, they take pictures, and then they blackmail you and threaten you. It says here, what is it? I think they actually describe it. Witness tampering charge arose from Kushner's act of retaliation against William Skolder, his sister Esther's husband, who was cooperating with federal investigators. Kushner hired a prostitute to seduce his brother-in-law, arranged to record an encounter between the two, and had the tape sent to his sister. Sentenced to 2 years in prison and served 14 months in a federal prison camp. So, these are the people that are surrounding Trump. Now, it goes deeper because also this man said he claims to have been a survivor of, what does it say here? Holocaust survivor. This is the Jewish aspect of this, the Israel aspect of this. It says here, his maternal uncle died in a concentration camp during the Holocaust, is what they're saying here. And later on down here, it talks about all of his affiliations with many of these Jewish groups, which doesn't make a person a bad person, but it explains maybe beholden, or at least when you surround yourself with people, idea of what this person may be like and maybe why he has sympathies to Israel, as you can see here. So I wanted to cover that. This is the Wolf of Wall Street, the Jared Kushner and Charles Kushner connection. Let's take a look here. Let's close this. Now we're going to get into Game of Thrones, and I'll show you guys what I found. Pretty crazy stuff. More stuff that we've covered on this channel. And one of them got right by me. I was kind of shocked because normally I catch this kind of stuff. Check in with you guys real quick first. Make sure everybody's in here. Okay. So let's get started on some of these slides. I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see a little better. So we talked all about this upside down crucifixion, okay? And we talked about how disciples, or there was like 3 or 4 disciples that were crucified either on this X, and a couple of them were crucified upside down. I think we might have covered that already. Now, this is weird because this is the tree that we talked about. Remember we talked about the magnetic field and how trees and their roots form this, the owl eyes, right? Well, in this particular episode of Game of Thrones, they go down underneath this tree here. This is the tree here. So you see the above and you see the below. So they're down here in the roots. And here you see the magnetic field. The torus field is what they call this. And it is a Coriolis effect. Okay, it's basically you get this infinite spin. Now there's a light side version of this and there's a dark side version. I believe they're depicting the light side version here. And then under the ground, this is like the dark side, right? You know them by their fruit. What does that really mean? Well, what does this look like? It looks like an apple when you split an apple open. It's a torus field. All life manifests into the torus field. And you know them by either the dark fruit or the light fruit. Okay? What is your fruit like? Does it look like this? Or does it look like this? And so what you have here is the magnetic field. What is a magnetic field, Casey? Well, you get a current. It goes through up and through the middle, comes out around the outside, and spins back through the middle. And it kind of does like the spiraling effect. So it's not perfectly vertical here. It like spirals. It comes in and goes out. And through its own momentum, it's infinite. This is a magnetic field, okay? So they're depicting that. This is the same tree. They're showing the above and the below. And I don't know why they actually look for this tree in the episode. I think it's like this tree has some kind of secret power. In this root system, they're actually able to go back in time. They do this, like they have these visions. So they're laying in and amongst these roots, and they can look at past lives and people's lives and basically be standing right there looking at the situation as it's unfolding. When they go into this alternate state of reality. Now, we had talked about the 7-pointed star and the septum and the 7 kingdoms of Game of Thrones. And they mentioned the number 700 many times as well. It has turned out that the 7 has become a theme throughout the series. I think it started in about season 3 or 4, and they haven't stopped talking about it since. And in this episode, they come right out and say it, the 7-pointed star. In this instance, they're talking about a holy text. And this is their religious book. Well, we broke down the 7-pointed star, and I showed you guys what it meant. I showed you that the creator of the gorillas was wearing a black 7-pointed star around his neck. I showed you that it is that it was Aleister Crowley's religion that he worshipped was the 7-pointed star. And still to this day, I got people defending the gorillas and defending the creator and defending the 7-pointed star. And I just don't know how you can do that with all the evidence out there. Now, in the opening, the introduction of Game of Thrones, this is what I missed. I couldn't believe that I missed it because this is everything we've been talking about. This is the iris. What you're looking at is the eye. And as they pan over the 7 kingdoms, they show this eye device. It looks almost like it's kind of what do they call these? Those devices that are in equilibrium. They're like balanced and they rotate around each other, like rings within rings, right? And then they show inside of it this iris and the light in the eye. Okay, and this thing is actually what is like observing the 7 kingdoms. It's flying overhead, almost like the sun in the sky. Here's another angle of it as well. Make no mistake, what you're looking at here is the iris. This is it right here, okay? It's floating around above this map in the introduction to each of the episodes. They also show us the serpent wrapped around the pole. This is the bronze serpent spoken about in the book of Genesis, or maybe it was Exodus, in the Bible. And I told you guys all about what that meant in a previous episode, or a previous decode. We tore apart the the instance in the Bible where Moses was told by God to raise this bronze serpent on a staff. And I told you what that really meant. Okay. We'll do a quick review of it as soon as I pop into the chat. Make sure you guys are still in here. This is when they like to disconnect us when we get going, right? Gyroscope. Thanks, Andy. Sometimes I don't have the words, right? Serpent on the pole. Okay. Now, you're not going to hear this anywhere else because many people that are religious can't open their minds. They only regurgitate what they're told by their pastors and religious doctrines instead of thinking for themselves, allowing the Holy Spirit to open their mind. Okay. In fear of being called a heretic or in fear of being called an apostate or a Gnostic, right? But I can tell you right now that this bronze serpent, bronze is 88% copper. Bronze is 88% copper. Copper is the blue bloods. What are the blue bloods? The blue bloods is the line of Cain and the line of the Egyptians and many other bloodlines that fought against the holy bloodline of Christ's forefathers. Okay, Abraham, Solomon, was it Jacob, David, and the bloodlines go all the way back to Adam, to Seth. Okay. Now, and Shem was the one that carried over that bloodline into and after the flood. So why did God make them build this copper or bronze serpent and wrap it around a pole? Because he was foreshadowing Christ being crucified. Casey, what are you talking about? How can you compare a snake to Christ? Well, Christ made the comparison himself. Yes, Christ made the comparison himself. He said, just as Moses raised up a snake in the wilderness, the Son of Man will be raised up and save the world. That's what the verse says. So what do we have? We have the dark side version and we have the light side version of Christ. We have the holy seed versus the dark seed. Do you see the enmity that God talked about in the Bible, all the way going back to the book of Genesis, the enmity between these two seeds? And now are you starting to understand what this really means? Okay. Is the battle of the century. It is the big white elephant in the room, going back to the beginning of time. It always has been and always will be. And no matter how much religion tries to sweep this under the rug, they cannot escape this because these serpent seed are the ones in control. Now, why would God have them erect a serpent on a pole, bronze serpent? He did that because the Israelites were complaining. Oh, we have to eat manna. Oh, we're tired of eating manna. At least in Egypt, we had meat. Oh, we're in the wilderness, wandering for 40 days and 40 nights, or 40 years. And God said, okay, you want to keep complaining? I'm going to show you what you came out of. This is the serpent seed. This is what I delivered you out of. This is why he had Moses raise this serpent on the staff. And they were commanded to look at this serpent basically as a punishment, like sticking your nose in the corner. And if they did not look upon it, then they would all die. And that is the truth and the secret behind this verse in the book of Exodus. And when the Holy Spirit revealed to me this truth, I couldn't believe it because I had not heard this explanation before, but it was revealed to me. And I was like, wow. So that is what this means. Serpent versus the Christ seed. They were raised on this pole. Christ was raised on the cross. You see. And I think this was actually a cross too. Here they have it just as a stake, but I think the book of Exodus says that you raise the serpent up on a cross, or not a cross, but like but it could have had a crossbar on it. We don't know. Now, let's make sure you guys are still here. Cool. Right on. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. All right, let's keep going with this because there's more to this here, and I'll do kind of an open. We'll do open question and answer as soon as I'm done with this. Now, here you go. The banner rotates around and it rests right in the center of the iris. This is the iris, okay? Of the eye, of that eye thing Gosh, I already forgot the name of it again. So that's it, you guys. That's what's going on with Game of Thrones. That's the update. And here I am on season, what is this? Gosh, wouldn't it be so fun to just play this and leave a live show open and then maybe pausing it and just decoding it? Why don't we live in that world? You know, but instead, if I were to play 25 seconds of this, they would defund this entire video and probably give me a strike. Because we're not allowed to do that. We're like little children. So I'm on season 6. So we'll keep this going. What does it go up to season 7? I finish this up before I take off. Somebody sent me this. This is Sardinia Giants. Apparently, there was some kind of documentary done on this. I'm going to check that out. I just re-uploaded that video on the Sardinia Giants, and apparently someone's already done some work on this. So this is pretty cool. So I'm going to check that out next. Let's see, why did I have this pulled up? Oh, this is the New Jerusalem. Someone was asking me about the cube, the black cube, and I was like, yeah. There's also the New Jerusalem is actually shaped like a cube. 12,000 by 12,000 by 12,000 is the New Jerusalem. Here are the dimensions and measurements of this. For everything that God does that is good, the enemy has a evil counterpart. In this case, the evil counterpart is the black cube on Saturn. But what Saturn does at the North Pole is it basically foreshortens the cube and it turns it into a hex. It hexes it. Okay. On Saturn. Check this out. The God's cube is good. New Jerusalem, it's going to be the new heaven, the new city. Okay. Mentioned in the book of Revelation. It's got pearls at each of its gates that roll away to allow entry and exit. It is a cube. And that's the holy cube. I think it's made out of gold, if I'm not mistaken. I shouldn't be speaking unless I know, right? But it is a holy city. And it's like got all these cool features to it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out in the book of Revelation. Look at all the statistics of this holy city. Why isn't this working? Trying to find the North Pole of Saturn. Okay, so basically on the North Pole of Saturn is a hexagon, as everyone knows. But a hexagon is also a cube. Basically, it's a cube in 3 dimensions. So the enemy has taken the cube and turned it into a hex. That's why he put the hex on us, right? This is the curse. And this is the situation we're in this dimension. This is where we're at. This is where everything sits, you guys. Saturn hexagon. Now, it's interesting because this storm rotates in the same direction. Let's show you this. Here's the hexagon. Here's a really good picture of it. This is a storm. Rotates in the very same direction. Get ready for this. First, do you see the cube? Connect the lines. You have a cube. Kaaba rotates in the same direction as the people do at the Kaaba at Mecca. The other cube. This is the dark cube. Now, I still haven't gotten to the bottom of all this, and I'm not one to ferret out hate speech unless I know absolutely sure something is evil and what it consists of and the dynamics of it. I'm just not going to call something evil just because I think it's evil. I think all religion is of the enemy. I think it dumbs down the true nature of God's glory and the true faith-building principles and revelations of the Bible. And they've done that on purpose. We're like in the dark ages of the Bible, basically. We've got the 3rd grade version of the Bible, and everybody's afraid to dig deeper into the numbers and the synchronicities and all of that. But these people, what I can tell you is they are rotating in the same exact direction as the cube on the North Pole of Saturn as the storm moves. Now, someone else had discovered that, but it was weird. I did a video on it. I discovered it, and I looked, and someone else had discovered it. So what I call that when that happens is these are called universal truths. These are called truths that are self-evident. And anyone can be gifted with knowing these things if you're open to learning and finding the truth. And then so you start to see these synchronicities. You start to see that other people have already walked your journey. They've already walked your path into ultimate truths. And then it's confirmation for you, right? All right, I'm in the chat. Let's close this first. Actually, I'm gonna leave that open. I want to research that a little bit more. I'm gonna finish up Game of Thrones. Hopefully I get to the last season. I think season 7 is the last season. What else do we have here? That's about it. All right. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you. I see Kim is in the house. Blessing Texas 7. CJ Murdoch. Bob. T. Baldwin. Saving Humanity. Andy. 222 Mission. Much love to you. Sunrise Skywatcher. Carried by Grace. Friends in Truth. There's my buddy, Friends in Truth. Religions are man's creation, truth of the Most High. Truth is of the Most High. Absolutely, my friend. That's exactly the truth. Vahid, Revelation 30. Thank you. 30 or 3? Iron 5. Nolan, Corso, Green Man. Now I got a couple videos uploading over the next couple days. I just went ahead and scheduled them. A couple more bits and pieces of the bits and pieces of Game of Thrones. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something. What was it? I can't remember now. State-sanctioned pedophilia all throughout the series, you guys. Unbelievable. There's one part where a much older woman is like basically the new queen to this boy, and they're in bed, and she sneaks into his bed every night and then starts telling him to keep secrets. It's just straight up, and I know this isn't a show for adults. I get that. I understand it. But the scenes are just downright creepy. There's another scene where a guy goes in a brothel and he keeps asking for younger and younger girls. Finally, they bring out these girls that are like 12 or 13, maybe. Some of them look 9 or 10. He's got 3 of them in front of him, and he's spanking them with a stick. And I couldn't help but be reminded of Pizzagate and the artwork that's in Tony Podesta's home of the children with the red bottoms and red feet that were being beaten lined up. It just reminded me of that. And see, if you hadn't seen all this Pizzagate stuff, that scene in Game of Thrones might not have jogged any memory or anything. But because we're investigators, this stuff stands out like a sore thumb. We just see it. And then, of course, one of the girls ends up murdering that guy for abusing the children. But it was all about, sex abuse. Now, there's different rules, different countries, okay, when it comes to this stuff. I remember watching a film about some people down in a fallout shelter of some type, and it's an older film, and there was a little girl, and this man was making out with her, and I thought, that's weird. So I did some research on it. I can't remember who the actress was, but it was a younger version. I think it might have been so it's a famous actress now, but this is one like her debut. This was her debut film before anyone knew who she was. And apparently the girl was like 15 or 16 years old at the time of the filming of this. And apparently that's acceptable behavior, and as long as they get some kind of a permission from their parent. But it's just sick how Hollywood keeps pushing the boundaries, blurring the lines, right? And then they present this stuff to us. And for someone who is maybe struggling with some kind of addiction to this stuff, or on the fence about whether they're going to act on something, this could push them over the edge. I truly believe it's like demon possession. It's basically like they become tempted, right? And so I fight against that. I fight against all the garbage that they're showing us. This is why I pretty much decode stuff all the time. This is why I do it, to fight against this garbage that we're taking into our senses as entertainment. So back in the chat, see Rebecca is here. Bob, I hope I gave you a shout out already. Matt. Oh, what else do we have here? Rosie. CJ's in the house. CJ Murdoch. All right, you guys, I'm just going to read through some of your comments in here. See if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. A lot going on in the world, right? Got United States staging all these equipment and battleships and all this stuff. And you guys, it's to the point, or it just gets overwhelming sometimes. There's Heidi. Hi, Heidi. To track this stuff and to worry about it. A lot of great news channels out there. I know there's a lot going on. This Facebook killer. It just looks so weird to me. Just this guy sitting in the passenger side. Who's driving the car? Did they ever figure out who was driving the car? I don't know. It's weird. And then somebody was talking about he was wearing 2 different shirts, and something tells me there's something that stinks about that. Then they were saying it was live, and then they were saying it was pre-recorded. Just don't know. I feel like all of these things are designed to basically take away more and more rights. I mean, look what's already happening with YouTube. Pretty much, Facebook has already followed suit, but it's only going to get worse. Pretty much, it's going to get to the point where they're not going to really let people live stream. Or, they're not going to let people upload videos anymore. And they're going to blame it all on stuff like this Facebook killer. So it's just weird. All right, cool. John sent me some stuff on Twitter, so I'll check that after I pop off of here. Somebody was saying the video was mirrored. Oh, well, that's a possibility. Way to use your critical thinking, Iron 5. Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible that video was mirrored, and they probably mirrored it because then you don't get copyright. That's what people do. They mirror things so that they don't get a copyright. So that's probably the explanation, but wow, great. Casey, have you noticed an uptick in infiltrators, disinformation agents getting out of hand? Yes. And then what those very same people do is they point the finger at channels like me that are doing real work, that are exposing stuff, and they try to say we're the problem, and we're really not. But like this Alex Jones video that I did of him admitting in court that he is a performance artist. And where have we heard that before? Marina Abramovich, performance art. They can get away with blurring the lines and using pig's blood and painting it on walls and urine, and it's performance art, right? So they get away with it. Any performance art, you guys, it's evil. I'm sorry, but it is. And I'm going to call it for what it is. It's not art. And art, slapping an art label on something does not give it permission to be perverse and weird and grotesque and satanic. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. So they're trying to say that this was performance art. Okay? And I just don't buy it. So that's what's going on with that. Now, what else do we have here? Oh, let's see here. Why would you want to make art like that if you weren't already evil? Exactly. Yeah, so so I did that Alex Jones video. They said he was a performance artist, and that because his wife was trying to use his persona as a character assassination to get against him, so that he would lose custody of his children. Okay. Now, I'm gonna get on the soapbox for a minute here, because while you guys are here, I'm gonna tell you what I've been through to stand up for the truth. Tell you a story about all of my friends from high school, teachers, family. They all turned their back on me, humiliated by all of them for what I believe in. Okay. I gave up 200 Facebook friends. Not one of them replied to any of my posts. Been on YouTube since 2012. I've lost jobs behind what I do. I've lost six-figure incomes behind what I do. I was actually threatened by a troll once, knew where I worked before I published my LinkedIn, which now is fully published for anyone to see. It's in plain view. So I'm not running from this anymore. And I haven't been for a few years now. And this person threatened my job, named my job, and about 6 months later, I didn't have that job anymore. I've given up jobs. I've given up relationships for people that don't stand for what I stand for. Financially, emotionally, just can't handle it. Can't take it. Can't take the truth. Can't handle the truth. Can't handle how we're really supposed to live. Look, I know we need money to pay bills and stuff, but this is what's going on. And so for Alex Jones, who's making millions and has hired people and is at the top of the truth movement to sell us down the river so he can get his kids, I don't buy it. It's BS. Good month here on YouTube for me was $500 or $600 a month. That's a good month. Alex Jones is making millions, and look how easily he sold us all down the river. I don't care if he needed to get his kids back. I've given up much more than that, making 2% of what he makes. So I don't buy the lecture on he's just trying to get his kids back. He's willing to say anything. That's called selling out. So that's what's going on with Alex Jones. And there's a lot of that out there. Listen, man, this is all about the fruit of the spirit, and nobody's perfect. But when you go on day in and day out and you play the madman, the Mad Hatter, you're not helping anybody. People are telling me, why would I never woke up if it wasn't for Alex Jones? Hello? That's called commandeering something that you cannot control. That is CIA 101. You put their face on it. So that makes it okay because he woke up a bunch of people because they put him at the top so that he could wake up people so that he could then lead them astray later down the line? I don't think so. That's not okay. We should be speaking out against that. That should make you sick to your stomach. That should make you angry. Not say, oh, well, he's done some good. Guess what? These Satanists in Hollywood do some good too, don't they? Look at all the children Madonna's adopted. Look at all the children Angelina Jolie's adopted. Does that make them good? Meanwhile, they're getting naked, showing us their body parts, cutting off their genitals and their breasts, doing all kinds of strange perversions. You know, it's hard watching TV and decoding all this stuff. I wouldn't be watching TV if I didn't have to fight for all the people that are watching TV, for them to see the truth behind the veil. I wouldn't be doing it. I do it because it's like going into the fire to pull out the person that's burning. And just because someone does some good things doesn't mean their fruit is good. Doesn't mean their magnetic field is good. You guys, we're trees. We are the trees. We have a trunk. We have limbs. We have branches. God created us in his image. He was the first tree. El. El is tree in Hebrew. Elohim, the trees. They don't teach you these things in church. The Coriolis, the core of the apple, the magnetic field. So let's go back in the chat here. Now, one thing I did like about this Game of Thrones is the whole, it reminded me of the Braveheart themes. It got really thick in some parts with the whole, basically, the transgender movement, LGBT. Those themes came up right about season 5. They have these fanatics, this group of fanatics that takes control of the city, of the moral compass of the city, and starts throwing in all these elite kings and stuff into jail for being homosexual, one for sleeping with their brother. Okay. And then they basically show that these fundamentalist Christians is basically what they're depicting, torturing these people and also being hypocrites and having double standards. Now they want you to feel that anger. They want you to be mad that these LGBT people are being treated this way. They want you to hate Christians. Okay? That's the whole point of the agenda in Game of Thrones and in these episodes and these storylines. So I noticed that, so I had to call that out as well. I didn't take any screenshots of that, but I wanted to share that with you guys. That was definitely one of the themes. A lot of weird perversions going on in Game of Thrones, and they do it on purpose. Okay, to add the quote unquote spice, because they know that this gets people to watch it. Wow, she sleeps with her brother. Wow, that guy's homosexual, but nobody knows. It's a secret. He's in the closet, and they want you to empathize with these situations. Okay, and it's overrepresented. Okay, how many people sleep with their brother? Not many. Okay, so why is this a main theme in Hollywood? It's because they're trying to desensitize you to it. They're putting it in your face so that you accept it, and they put it in these storylines to get you emotionally drawn in, make you think, wow, if you really love someone and it just happens to be your brother or sister, that's okay. You see how they're doing this? It's sadistic. It's evil. And if I didn't know any better, and if I didn't do what I do, this kind of sorcery will affect you on a subliminal level, whether you know it or not. This is why I call it out. All right, back in the chat. Reading your guys' comments. Let's see here. Yeah, it's very sad. We need to pray for these people, A lot of them sell out, people in Hollywood, for money. I don't believe even a lot of them are bad people. I don't think they're, in the closet worshiping Satan, but it probably gets to that point once you've gone down to the dark side so far, you know. Pray for these people. They know not what they do. It takes a very broken person to want to be famous and want to be need to be needed by people and approved by people. That's a very empty person. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like 80 Sweet Thing was watching Game of Thrones season 4, became desensitized. Yeah, I mean, is what I've probably witnessed my 400th murder in the film. I mean, probably more. It's like someone's dying every few minutes. Someone's having sex every 5 minutes. Yeah. Shout outs to Kimiko. Thanks, Deb. Yeah. So what else do we have here? Chet's in the house. That's a new face. Hey, Chet, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Vahid's new too, so welcome. I like to call it the people that are new. The rest of you guys I recognize. All right. Well, so what happened with, I know I'm part of Underground World News, but I haven't talked to B Rich in a while, and I heard that he's got some videos that kind of went viral. The cops, like, what did they do? They stopped him and then like shut down the stream. Is that what happened? Should probably just message him and find out. Weird, man. Weird times we live in, right? But yet they couldn't find the Facebook killer, even though he was using his cell phone. But for some reason, they were able to find B, pull him over, and do that. Love to hear your thoughts on Preacher. Heidi says, is that a film? To take a look at that. Wait, what did Friends in Truth say here? Friends in Truth says, 50 minutes of fame for eternity in Lake of Fire. No thanks, I'd rather die penniless. Exactly, my friend. He was looking for the Cleveland killer, says Lee. Was pulled over by a CPD. Now, how did they know it was him? That's creepy. Yeah, like they had probably had him on satellite or something. Wow. Telling you, crazy. So I did some research in the Department of Fish and Game. Apparently, there's less than 350 fish and game officers for the entire state of California. And I just find that hard to believe because it seems like every time I go fishing, one of them shows up. There's got to be thousands or even millions of places to fish in California. There's a lot of water here when it rains. So how do these guys know when someone's fishing? That's crazy. So I don't know. There's something else going on with that. Let's see here. Casey, will you read the hypertext Trump 666 when you get a chance? What is that, Chad? I don't know what that is. The hypertext. Trump 666. Let's see here. There's Long Lake 73. Long Lake 73. I was born in 73. Drones, yeah, they probably got him in the drones. It's crazy. Did he have? Was it live when they pulled him over? Many public areas have solar powered cameras. Yeah, 222 mission. Was he live? Was it live when they pulled him over? Do you guys see that whole thing? Where I stand on the rapture. Well, my viewpoint on the rapture is that I'm prepared either way. And that's kind of like how I like to leave it. Sometimes with the rapture, we get stuck on waiting and predicting and, trying to get out of something. I'll also tell you this. We suck. I'm sorry, but we do, you guys. We're in the most sin-filled part of history since Babylon or since before the flood. And if God only saved 8 people from the flood to go into the ark, and they were like a million times more holy than we are, okay? For some reason, we live in a time where it's very hard for us not to sin. Okay, now God doesn't expect us all to be monks. That's not what I'm saying, but pretty much our world is do what thou wilt. People pretty much have no integrity anymore. And if even Christians, a lot of Christians have a very hard time not sinning, myself included, you guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Wake up in the morning, had too much to drink the night before, sick to my stomach. Why did I do that? That's just one example, you know? And I think back of how holy the patriarchs were, and God didn't, a lot of them died. Many of them were tortured. Look what happened to the apostles. And I think if we get hung up on a rapture, thinking we're going to somehow get out of the tribulation and get out of any suffering, I just always, I'm prepared either way to do whatever needs to happen. If they kill me, they kill me. And I know where I'm going anyway when they kill me. So I'm not really too worried about it. So that's my viewpoint on the rapture. I don't like to get into the debates because what happens is that just causes division. And then there's pre-trib rapture, post-trib rapture, pre-trib rapture. And then everyone's fighting amongst our brothers and sisters. And if this person doesn't believe in the rapture and this person does, they're a false teacher. I don't get into all that stuff, okay? I serve the Most High. And whatever happens to me. I put my nose to the grindstone and focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's all that I do. And I don't really worry about what happens to me because God is in complete control. Yeah, we lose everything that we hold dear first. Exactly. And the bottom line is we have to let go of everything before we're ready to serve God. If there's something that you feel like you need to hold on to and have, then you're not there yet. I got mine down to my truck and my guitar, and now I don't even have the truck because I'm going to be leaving. So I got rid of that, and I don't think I'm going to be able to take the guitar. So all I really have is my computer. I have my computer, and so that's good enough for me. As long as I can keep in contact with you guys, this will be my only possession. This is all I'm taking with me. Okay? It's like my scroll, I guess. Yeah, it's got my Bible on it. I can look up the Bible on my computer, so I guess I can call it my Bible, right? So that's probably all Jesus traveled with was the Bible. So let's see here. Good version of the Bible. T. Baldwin asks if anyone can suggest a good version of the Bible. And I would recommend the Q Bible, qbible.com. It's got the Old Testament in the Hebrew and Aramaic original language. And it's got the English right below it. So you can see word for word what it means. And then I would, when you come upon a verse and you want to find the deeper meaning, look at all the versions of the Bible, compare and contrast. Compare that to the Q Bible. And you find the truth. You find the true translation of that scripture. Look at the Targum. Those are the oldest copies of the Bible, which give a little bit different story. Pray to the Holy Spirit. It will lead you into all truth. Chad asked him, I'm going to be doing the show while I'm in France. Yes, absolutely. Nothing's really going to change on the YouTube channel because I have the account. All I got to do is upload videos and you guys should all get it. I hope nothing changes. I hope I don't get over there. And then there's a lot of people, believe it or not, even here in the chat, that are actually from France. And so a lot of people from France are watching this channel, which is really cool. So awesome. qbible.com. Exactly. All right. Yeah, Gary, the King James, I guess, was a pedophile, or was he gay or something like that? See, don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into the trap of there's a lot of fundamentalist Christian religious types who will swear and live and die by the King James version. Well, as soon as you fall into that trap and you say, yes, the King James is the official version, then the atheists discredit you by saying the King James was a pedophile and a homosexual. So where does that leave you? Okay, you got to be careful. So, man, you got to look at the original scrolls, the original language that God wrote the Bible in. Okay, yeah, there's translations of it, but as we know, the translations have been altered and massaged to fit what they want us to fit. Okay. All right. So just be careful. I'm not saying the King James version is bad, but don't think that that's the only way you're going to learn the truth by reading a scripture. You have to pick it apart, pull it apart, look at the original Hebrew text. See, try to find the gist of what the scripture was really talking about. Yeah, the Nag Hammadi, it's another good one. The Targum. Yeah. Okay, I'm back in the chat, you guys. Sorry, yeah, exactly. Friend of the truth. King James verse still translated by man. Mindy's in the house. Much love. NorCal. What about Enoch? It says NorCal 530. Yeah, Enoch was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947, the Qumran caves. Okay. Why is that important? Because these copies that were found in these caves dated back 500 years before Christ was born a man on earth. Really old copies of the Old Hebrew Bible. And amongst those copies of the Hebrew Bible were equivalently old, equally old copies of the Book of Enoch, right alongside the Hebrew Bible, 500 BC. Now, this copy has never been seen by human eyes other than the private owner that has it. Okay. And other copies of the Book of Enoch were found with the Ethiopian Bible, and those are the ones that we read today. But the ones that were found at the Dead Sea Scroll and in the Dead Sea Scroll discovery in the Qumran caves are in private hands. They've never been seen by a scholar or by the public. Why? Was there more information in those texts? I'd like to know. So that's the story on the Book of Enoch. Why didn't they update the Bible, the modern Bible, once they had found this discovery in 1947? Because then they would have had to have realized that the Council of Nicaea, who canonized the Bible or who decided through a council which books should be included and which shouldn't, they would then at that point be discredited. And all their vast, quote unquote, knowledge and all this, basically what the Dead Sea Scrolls did was expose them for leaving out books of the Bible that should have been in there. They did not update the modern Bible. They left it at 66 books when they really should have added several of these books back in based on the Dead Sea Scroll finding. I hope that makes sense to you guys. It's like when you were 5, you got a puzzle, but the pieces were missing. In all your life, this was your favorite puzzle. And you became like 25, you put the puzzle together, but there were 5 pieces missing. And when you're 35, you put the puzzle together and there were 5 pieces missing. And then all of a sudden, you find the other box of the same puzzle that had all the pieces in it, the very same puzzle. And then all of a sudden, you put all the pieces together. But then you just decide, oh, since I got so used to leaving those 5 pieces out, I'm just going to leave them out in the new complete puzzle. That's exactly what they did with the Bible. They should have reconvened a new council. They should have said, based on this, we're going to vote. We're going to decide if these other books should be included since they were found with this complete book. And I get sick and tired of being attacked, especially by Christians who believe that the Bible is just the Bible. And then yes, it's inspired of God. That's why we need to protect the integrity of it. That's why some of these books should be included back in the Bible. It's in the Ethiopian Bible. The Ethiopian Bible includes the book of Enoch, but our Western version of the Bible does not. And this is when you realize someone is asleep, when they'll attack you on these points. They'll say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. If God wanted Enoch to be in the Bible, he would have put it in there. He didn't put it or leave it out. It was man that did it. Who do you listen to, man or God? Do you know Jesus quoted the book of Enoch? Did you know that? Do you know the book of Enoch's quoted in the book of Jude as well? So why isn't it part of the Bible? So there you go. That's the truth about the book of Enoch. All right, I'm back in the chat. Awesome, Rosie. I'm glad to have you. Catholics added books to the Bible too. Yeah, I heard some old Catholic Bibles have additional books that, and they include all the wrong ones too. I think they've got the wrong ones, and I don't know. Did Enoch build the pyramids? Says Jarhead Alpha of One. I believe that the fallen ones built the pyramids so that man would worship them. Because if you look inside the pyramids, the hieroglyphs depict the pharaohs as giants compared to the normal people, compared to the slaves in the hieroglyphs. The pharaohs and the gods are twice and 3 times the size of the people. They're giants. We know who the giants were, the Nephilim, the bloodline of the fallen ones. And I believe that they built these pyramids to represent the below, the light coming into the eye, but being cut off at the middle so that you don't get the above pyramid, which is, and it's just a symbol. It's not like something weird. It's a symbol of the above and below, as on earth as it is in heaven. Earth, heaven, your will be done. It's the Lord's Prayer. So they want to be God on earth, so they cut off the upper pyramid or the upper conduit that completes the heaven portion. And basically, they built these pyramids as basically structures to represent their dominion over this earth. Okay, God on earth. So they want to be. They want to sever our connection to heaven. All right. Yeah, the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt from Upper Nile, Ethiopia. Yes. Pyramid initiation chambers. I'm back in the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a good and bad Enoch, so don't get confused on that. There's a good Enoch and a bad Enoch. I think the first city was named Enoch that was built by Cain. He named it Enoch, and there's also a person named Enoch that's not the good Enoch. Yeah, Daniel for JC Truth. All right. Enoch 2 written by Cain. I don't know. Not sure about that. All right. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'm gonna pop off of here. I appreciate you guys all coming out. Please remember to go over to Into the Stars blogspot.com. Yeah, I appreciate some of you that have contributed some small donations to the PayPal. I really appreciate that, you guys. It helps. Every little bit helps, especially with everything that's been going on with YouTube, right? I took a hit, maybe not as much as a lot of people, because I took a firm stand and I went through and I remastered some of my videos. I changed titles. I spent a whole day basically defending my channel, right? Because they've been every day I get notices of videos being defunded just because I put 9/11 in the title. And that's just simply ridiculous. So you'll notice some of these videos, you'll click on them and all of a sudden you'll get all this really cool 9/11 information, but I don't put 9/11 in the title. So we're going to fight this, you guys. They're not going to rush us off of YouTube. Screw these people. You know, we're going to stand and fight. Okay. Because this is free speech and it's going to keep being free. We just got to change the way we do things a little bit. So I appreciate the PayPal donations. If you want to contribute, it's enter the 5T4RZ at yahoo.com. That's my PayPal address. And for those of you that don't have money to contribute, you go to the blog spot and you just click around and turn off the ad blocker. And that puts a few pennies and quarters and dimes. It's like putting money in the you put it in the water jug, like that. And then over time, it helps. It actually does. Okay, but you got to go do it. And so that's what you can do if you don't have money to donate or contribute. And the blog's cool because you're going to get notified. I wonder if it notified you guys about this live show. Usually every single time I hit this like button on my videos, it automatically goes up, posts on the blog. And if you're following the blog, you'll get all those notifications. So that's how you do that, you guys. All right. I think that's it for tonight. Let you guys go. You guys probably got to make dinner for the kids. And I'm kind of on a liquid diet right now just because it feels good. And tell you what I'm putting in my milkshake. It's frozen blueberries, pineapple, yogurt. If you have kale, that tastes good in there too. Orange juice, milk, kind of juice will work. In any like fresh fruit you have, like strawberries, stuff like that. Yummy. And like you can like drink that every day. And it's really good for you. So, all right. Much love to you guys. I'm going to pop off here. Take care and be safe.